Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanir rahim maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Allahumma iftah 'alaina hikmataka wanshur 'alaina min khazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbana shrah lana sudurana wa yassir lana umurana wa hlul 'uqdatan min alsinatina yafqahu aqwalana. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Amma ba'd. Okey, selamat pagi, salam ukhuwah buat semua. Salam integrasi ilmu nakli dan akli. Okey, saya Dr. Fazli Ibrahim, pengurus tugas 3 bagi usahawan hijau ataupun greenpreneur pendidikan dan komuniti di Pusat Kelestarian dan Kesejahteraan USIM atau lebih dikenali sebagai C4SS, Center for Sustainability and Seriety USIM. Okey, sebagai teman moderator anda hari ini, okey, bersama-sama pengurus tugas 1 Prof Dr. Nurita Ahmad Nawawi dan pengurus tugas 2 landscape arkitek Dr. Nur Hayati Ismail, serta barisan setia pentadbir C4SS. Okey, saya sampaikan salam daripada
pengarah pun ada.
Okey, saya sampaikan salam. Okey, Prof Madya Dr. Zain Kandak, pengarah C4SS. Okey, yang sebenarnya sedang bermesyuarat dengan TNCPI di dalam JKPPI. Okey, dan kepada semua yang hadir, selamat datang ke webinar Kelestarian Kampus yang julung kali diadakan ni. Okey, terima kasih kepada semua yang hadir. Okey, sebagai pemanis bicara, saya bingkiskan 2 rangkap pantun lestari dan sejahtera buat mula ni. Ketemu kuntum bunga cemara, lewat petang belatuk tempua. Assalamualaikum, pembuka bicara, selamat datang untuk semua. Bersama menyisih sisa domestik, pin dan jeriji, siapalah mengerti. Terima kasih sentiasa cantik, tiada lestari, apalah pekerti. Okey, terlebih dahulu kami ingin merafak kesyukuran kepada Allah SWT kerana dengan limpah kurnianya maka kita dapat bersama-sama berhimpun pada pagi ini untuk menjayakan webinar ini. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Okey, ucapan selamat datang dan terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada hadirin sekalian kerana sudi bertamu secara maya ke webinar pada hari ini. Terutamanya terima kasih terpemanai kerana sudi menerima undangan kami kepada yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Sumiani binti Yusof, pengarah di Institut Sains Laut dan Bumi IOES Universiti Malaya. Okay, beliau juga merupakan pengerusi Sekretariat Eco Campus and Living Lab serta penyelaras utama kempen sifar sisa ZWC Universiti Malaya. Okay, terima kasih yang berbagi Prof. Ya, terima kasih Prof kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama membuka ilmu dalam webinar kami ini. Okey, untuk berkongsi pengalaman berkenaan Eco Campus. Okey, profil yang berbagai Prof akan dikongsikan di ruang perbualan chat kita untuk dihadiri oleh peserta semua. Okey, ucapan terima kasih juga kepada semua peserta webinar iaitu barisan Go Green Ambassador USIM yang turut hadir untuk menimba ilmu. Sungguhnya menuntut ilmu itu tiada batas sepadannya. Semoga usaha kita semua diberkati Allah, insya-Allah. Okay. Right. So hadirin sekalian, sesungguhnya Allah SWT berfirman dalam Al-Quran, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Zaharal fasadu fil barri wa bahri ma kasabat aydin nas liyuziqahum ba'dalladzi 'amilu la'allahum yarji'un. Okay, surah Ar-Rum ayat 41. Telah timbul berbagai kerosakan dan bala bencana di darat dan di laut dengan sebab apa yang telah dilakukan oleh tangan manusia. Okay, timbulnya demikian kerana Allah hendak merasakan mereka sebahagian dari balasan perbuatan-perbuatan buruk yang mereka telah lakukan supaya mereka kembali insaf dan bertaubat. Jadi perwujudan Go Green Ambassador ini adalah atas sedar kita akan tadabbur ayat ni. Kita perlu berusaha gigih untuk membetuli segala kesilapan sebagai golongan yang yarji'un, yang kembali kepada kebenaran. Okay, jadi inisiatif projek PTJ Lestari yang telah dilancarkan pada Majlis Amanat Naib Chancellor 27 Januari yang lalu merupakan titik tolak bagi usaha sederap USIM dalam mencapai Kampus Lestari, Kampus Barakah menjelang 2030. Semangat ni. Okay. Oleh itu, webinar yang Anjuran kalian ni membawa satu perkongsian daripada universiti terbaik Malaysia, iaitu Universiti Malaya, serta figura yang telah menjangkau luas menjambatani, menjambatani, saya ulang, ilmu bumi dan kelautan serta pelestariannya kepada bentuk yang lebih praktikal dan membumi bagi ahli komuniti memahami dan menghayati akan tanggungjawabnya sebagai khalifah fil ard. KPA, Khalifah Fil Art, PHIL, saya brandingkan Khalifah Fil Art, Khalifah di muka bumi. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, tanpa melengahkan masa, saya mempersilakan yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Sumiani binti Yusof untuk perkongsian Universiti Malaya sebagai Eco Campus. Silakan Prof. Tafadhal mashkura, tafadhali mashkura.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Pertama sekali saya ingin ucapkan berbanyak terima kasih kepada pihak USIM yang sudi menjemput saya bagi pihak Universiti Malaya untuk berkongsi maklumat, pengalaman dan juga sedikit ilmu pengetahuan dan inisiatif yang kami lakukan di Universiti Malaya berkenaan dengan Kelestarian Kampus. Dan saya ucapkan berbanyak terima kasihlah kepada usaha penjelaras dan juga Dr. Norita, Dr. Nur Hayati, Dr. Fazli sebagai pengerusi pada hari ini untuk sama-sama kita merealisasikan hasrat murni, dan juga bagi saya ini merupakan satu tanggungjawab untuk kita semua. Usaha kelestarian ini bukanlah kita lakukan semata-mata kerana kita hendak melestarikan kampus semata-mata, tetapi bagi saya ia adalah merupakan titik tolak daripada kesinambungan dan juga tanggungjawab kita sebagai makhluk dan juga khalifah di muka bumi yang telah dilantik oleh Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala dengan jelasnya dalam surah dan juga ayat di Al-Quran yang menunjukkan bahawa tanggungjawab untuk menjaga bumi, memelihara dan juga memastikan bumi dijaga dengan teratur dan dengan baik adalah merupakan satu ibadah dan juga merupakan tanggungjawab kita semua. Sekiranya kita tidak melaksanakan tanggungjawab itu, ini maksud bahawa kita tidak melaksanakan amanah yang diberikan kepada kita sebagai khalifah di muka bumi untuk melestarikan dan juga memastikan sumber alam dan juga bumi kita ini dijaga dengan baik dan dengan penuh tanggungjawab. Jadi alhamdulillah pada hari ini saya bersyukur sebab bagi saya penyampaian ilmu ni adalah salah satu daripada cara dan kaedah untuk kita sama-sama memastikan dan juga berkongsi ilmu pengetahuan ataupun menyampaikan ilmu pengetahuan, sebab sebaik-baik ilmu itu adalah yang boleh kita amalkan. Dan bagi saya projek-projek kelestarian yang kita dah jalankan ini adalah merupakan terjemahan daripada ilmu yang kita ada, yang kita dapati daripada usaha dan juga pengajaran dan pembelajaran di kampus yang menggalakkan warga kampus, terutama sekali pelajar-pelajar kita, sebab kita bertanggungjawab sebagai bukan sahaja pemimpin, pensyarah, ahli akademik yang perlu mempraktikkan ilmu yang kita ajar dengan menterjemahkannya kepada projek-projek yang dapat membantu melestarikan kampus, dan seterusnya dapat juga kita terjemahkan projek-projek dan inisiatif tersebut kepada masyarakat sekeliling dan seterusnya kepada negeri dan negara. Sebab itu adalah merupakan prinsip utama untuk kita melestarikan kawasan sekeliling kita. Immediately adalah di kampus ini dengan mudahnya dan dengan secara praktiknya boleh diterjemahkan dan ramai orang lebih sedar dan sama-sama kita menjalankan tanggungjawab dan amanah untuk melestarikan alam sekitar. Jadi saya sangat-sangat teruja bila saya dapat jemputan daripada USIM, sebab saya pun dah lama berinteraksi dengan beberapa rakan-rakan di universiti yang lain, dan kita pun saya rasa mengorak langkah bersama. Saya rasa semua universiti awam di Malaysia dalam kita mengejar kecemerlangan akademik, sama-sama kita semua saling berganding bahu untuk memastikan dan menonjolkan bahawa kelestarian kampus juga adalah merupakan tunggak utama untuk kita mencapai kecemerlangan akademik. Dan kita memang ada group on sustainable campus, dan saya berharap pihak USIM dengan langkah jemahkan dan juga merealisasikan kelestarian di kampus dapat menjadi front runner berkenaan dengan kelestarian kampus dan seterusnya untuk pembangunan mampan. Hari ini alhamdulillah saya akan berkongsi maklumat dan juga sedikit pandangan dan inisiatif-inisiatif contoh yang telah kami lakukan di Universiti Malaya supaya sama-sama kita dapat memanfaatkan, dan sekiranya ada kebaikan di situ bolehlah diguna pakai, dan kita sebenarnya sangat berbesar hati dan menjemput dan mengalu-alukan sekiranya ada mana-mana universiti yang ingin bekerjasama, sebab bagi saya tolong-menolong dan bekerjasama ini lebih membuahkan hasil yang lebih besar, sebab dalam pengetahuan kita untuk SDG 17 ataupun Sustainable Development Goals yang diutarakan oleh pihak United Nations, ada satu SDG yang khusus berkenaan dengan partnership ataupun kerjasama dan hubung kait, dan ini merupakan SDG ataupun goal yang sangat penting bagi saya, sebab untuk merealisasikan kelestarian dan pembangunan mampan, kita tidak boleh bekerja bersendirian. Kita perlu bekerjasama dan perlu berganding bahu untuk lebih mendapatkan output ataupun keputusan dan juga hasil yang lebih bermanfaat untuk dikongsi bersama. Jadi alhamdulillah hari ini saya akan bentangkan beberapa slide yang menonjolkan kepentingan tentang kelestarian kampus dan bagaimana kaedah yang kami lakukan di Universiti Malaya dengan boleh diterjemahkan dan ramai orang lebih sedar dan sama-sama kita menjalankan tanggungjawab dan amanah untuk melestarikan alam sekitar. Jadi saya sangat-sangat teruja bila saya dapat jemputan daripada USIM, sebab saya pun dah lama berinteraksi dengan beberapa rakan-rakan di universiti yang lain, dan kita pun saya rasa mengorak langkah bersama. Saya rasa semua universiti awam di Malaysia dalam kita mengejar kecemerlangan akademik, sama-sama kita semua saling berganding bahu untuk memastikan dan menonjolkan bahawa kelestarian kampus juga adalah merupakan tunggak utama untuk kita mencapai kecemerlangan akademik. Dan kita memang ada group on sustainable campus, dan saya berharap pihak USIM dengan langkah jemahkan dan juga merealisasikan kelestarian di kampus dapat menjadi front runner berkenaan dengan kelestarian kampus dan seterusnya untuk pembangunan mampan. Hari ini alhamdulillah saya akan berkongsi maklumat dan juga sedikit pandangan dan inisiatif-inisiatif contoh yang telah kami lakukan di Universiti Malaya supaya sama-sama kita dapat memanfaatkan, dan sekiranya ada kebaikan di situ bolehlah diguna pakai, dan kita sebenarnya sangat berbesar hati dan menjemput dan mengalu-alukan sekiranya ada mana-mana universiti yang ingin bekerjasama. Sebab bagi saya tolong-menolong dan bekerjasama ini lebih membuahkan hasil yang lebih besar, sebab dalam pengetahuan kita untuk SDG 17 ya, ataupun Sustainable Development Goals yang diutarakan oleh pihak United Nations, ada satu SDG yang khusus berkenaan dengan partnership ataupun kerjasama ya, dan hubung kait, dan ini merupakan SDG ataupun goal yang sangat penting bagi saya, sebab untuk merealisasikan kelestarian dan pembangunan mampan, kita tidak boleh bekerja bersendirian ya. Kita perlu bekerjasama dan perlu berganding bahu untuk lebih mendapatkan output ataupun keputusan dan juga hasil yang lebih bermanfaat untuk dikongsi bersama. Jadi alhamdulillah hari ini saya akan bentangkan beberapa slide yang menonjolkan kepentingan tentang kelestarian kampus dan bagaimana kaedah yang kami lakukan di Universiti Malaya dengan
Okey, saya teruskan.
Okey, okey, saya sambung ya, insyaAllah. Jadi mungkin saya mula daripada awal balik tajuk yang kita akan.
Assalamualaikum Prof, boleh slide show ni sebab
buat apa ni?
Okey.
Ya dah. Okey, tajuk kita akan lihat kepada Synergizing Sustainability Leadership for Higher Education Institution. Kalau saya terkeluar balik, tolong WhatsApp saya because saya kadang tak sedar because of the wifi dekat rumah ni a bit unstable since last few days.
Tak apa Prof, tak apa.
Izinkan saya continue ini. Saya akan teruskan pembentangan dalam bahasa Inggeris sebab dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi tadi saya merupakan pengarah di Institute of Ocean and Earth Science dan juga ditanggungjawabkan sebagai pengurusi of Chairperson Sustainability and Leading Lab Secretariat, yang mana ia merupakan sekretariat yang menyelaras dan mengimplementasikan semua projek-projek lestari di dalam kampus ya, dan juga kami melaksanakan strategic planning untuk memastikan session important. I think it's very important for us to fundamental, environmental, economic, and talk about sustainability. You have to remember there are three pillars or three tenets of sustainability that we have to address, and as far as possible balance it as much as we can, because we can't really pursue sustainable development if you neglect either one of the three tenets, which is environment, social, and economics. And you will see how UM does our project, which actually justifies and also observes the outcome of the three tenets of sustainability. And hopefully this sharing session will enhance the campus community, especially for us in the higher education institution, the learning experience through the integration of sustainability principles into education, research, practices and operation based on sustainability initiatives derived from our Living Lab model. So I'll share with you our Living Lab model so that it can actually give some ideas or some replication that you can actually try to follow if you deem it to be useful. And finally, I think what is most important is for us to understand that once you have the awareness, the knowledge, and the aspiration, it has to be translated into real actions, and it has to be a paradigm shift of cultural and behavioral ethos of sustainability so that it becomes an everyday part of campus community life. And this is very important, because at the end of the day, whatever you believe in must be translated into real action and must actually stick and becomes a norm in the campus setup. So the presentation outlined today, since I've been given about 1 hour, inshallah, I'll try to cover some basic global sustainability issues so that at least for the newcomers or those who are still not very familiar or understand what is sustainability all about and why is it so important, we'll try to tie it to the SDGs, the global SDG goal, and we'll have a look at how our higher education institution could support and promote SDGs agenda. Yeah, because this is very important, being the focal point of society. To me, higher education institutions play a very vital role to actually become the steward in promoting sustainable development. Yeah, and then I will share with you our experience of Sustainability and Living Lab Secretariat, or we call it UMSLLS in short. And finally, we look at how we synergize sustainability leadership, what and how can we contribute, because at the end of the day, it's very important for us to understand that whatever we do, we need to connect the dots. We need to synergize our leadership, sustainability leadership, with the actual action plans and the actual implementation of projects on the ground. Yeah, and finally, some conclusion and take-home messages. So I think without further introducing about global sustainability issues, all of us are actually now very aware and I think very concerned now as we are facing the pandemic of COVID-19, which is also an environmental issue that relates to health. But other than that, you know, we are actually facing escalating multitude global sustainability issues faced by mankind. Yeah, and some are nearing catastrophic tipping points, like for example, biodiversity issues and collapse, climate change challenges, yeah, and others including, you know, water pollution, water shortages, waste disposal, yeah, energy, and so on. Yeah, so there's a multitude and myriad problems of environmental issues, and including not just environmental issues, but also the social and economic challenges, like for example, you know, our global terrorism, yeah, and then we have also a host of natural disasters that's happening, and also we are at the brink of threatened major global economic collapse due to COVID-19. So I think it's inevitable that we really need to focus on how we need to actually step up, yeah, our not just actions, but also a real commitment and conviction to pursue the sustainable path. And how could we do it? Because at the end of the day, we are almost 7.8 billion people in this world. All of us have got a role to play, and actually all of us are contributors to these global issues that we are talking about or we are facing at hand. So if all of us take stock of our actions, we could actually contribute, and no matter how small our contribution, remember, collectively 7.8 billion people in this world will definitely make a lot of difference. So having said that, I think we are also very aware of the fact that we are now in the brink of a long-term change in climate, yeah, and it is actually having a range of observed effects, yeah, which can actually ruin and affect human life and maybe also human sustainability, yeah. And climate change is very compelling. One of the biggest culprit of climate change, as you know, is the use of fossil fuel and combustion, yeah, which basically underlies every human activities on this earth. And along with our so-called modernization, urbanization, Anthropocene era of human development, along with it, we use lots and lots, or we gobble lots of fossil fuel, which is needed to create energy. And when we use energy, there's combustion involved, and there's a lot of activities that will actually release carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas into the air. And these gases trap heat within the atmosphere and will have a range of effects on ecosystem, including, I think all of us are very aware of the fact that we have this threatening of rising sea levels. We've had many bouts of severe weather events, erratic severe weather events, droughts, and so on. And basically, the current global aim to tackle climate change is resulting from human activities, because the greenhouse gases that is emitted from all our human activities, be it either from our energy use, our industrialization, urbanization, agricultural activities, manufacturing, all produces carbon dioxide emissions through the burning of fossil fuel such as coal, oil, gas, and peat. Also methane and nitrous oxide emissions from agriculture, and also emissions through land use such as deforestation, reforestation, urbanization, desertification. And the evidence for rapid climate change is very compelling. I think no one can deny the fact, even though there are still people who are recalcitrant and say it's a myth. Believe me, you look around, you see the evidence is really compelling. I'm sure we all face erratic weather patterns, rising earth temperature, pollution, and if you look at the reports of the melting of polar ice, which is actually contributing to the increase of sea level rise, and also impacting animal loss, losing their habitats, and all this has affected and would affect a host of other things, including changing our weather patterns, changing the crop cultivation and also production patterns, leading to temperature rise, wildlife, forest fires, which I think was very rampant last year. There was a lot of forest fires, not just in Australia, in US. And on top of that, carbon sink in ocean that caused acidification has caused many marine species to be affected, on top of a host of other pollution issues. So I think the most defining and unprecedented environmental challenge that we face in this 21st century has to be the climate change. And why it's really alarming, because its impact is really, really comprehensive and is very diverse, on top of rising the global temperature. Because if you look at scientific records over the last 5 years, we had up to date, in 2020, record-breaking wildfires and has devastated regions right from Arctic to California. And even though there has been some improvement of CO2 emission because of lockdown, but nevertheless, it is still not enough, because it is deemed and it has been projected that every country must drop at least about 7 to 8% every year to limit the global warming of 1.5. So even the global lockdown that we are facing since 2020 has only at most managed to reduce only 5% of CO2 emissions, which is still not sufficient. And if you really want to meet the target of 1.5 degrees, and for your information, that 1.5 degrees is actually the tipping point scientists have formulated and projected in order for the Earth to not face catastrophe. We have to limit the global warming up to 1.5%. You might think 1.5% is a little, but believe me, on a global scale, it is really a lot. And the moment you tip over 1.5% or 2% or 2 degrees, you will actually see a lot of adverse negative impact. And sometimes the caution from the projection of scientists and the modeling shows that the impact would be irreversible and would be very, very devastating for the whole world and human population. And it has also been reported that the rising sea level, yeah, that global sea levels could be 1 meter higher by the year 2100, where if that happens, 40% of humanity living within 100 kilometers of the coast will be affected, will be displaced from their homes, yeah. And even in Malaysia, cities, big cities, yeah, in Selangor, in Perak, yeah, Kedah, and so on, will actually be submerged underwater. So this is a source by scientists reported in Nature. This is a real threat. And with this rising sea level, we're going to see a host of other significant adverse impact, including human refugees due to catastrophic weather patterns. Yeah, and higher CO2 or emission of carbon dioxide. The global average atmospheric carbon dioxide as of May was 416 parts per million. So basically, scientists have already defined that we should actually limit our CO2 emission to 400 parts per million. But we have long exceeded the 400 parts per million, and carbon dioxide emissions levels today are higher at any point in the past almost 1 million years. Yeah? So these are all scientific reports, yeah, that shows the real concern and the real impact to the environment is happening and will continue to happen. And of course, greenhouse gas emission is coming from all sorts of our human activities, also due to forestrations, our urbanization, our transportation sector, energy sector, and it is going to be anticipated that climate calamities, you know, or devastation will affect not just, you know, immediately the 11% of the world population. Currently, about 800 million or 1 billion people are actually vulnerable to climate change impacts such as droughts, flood, heat waves, extreme weather events, and sea level rise. So having said that, we really, you know and feel that we really have to take stock of our action. Even though some of us might feel that these effects are far away from us, believe me, we just have to look at our media reports. And also, I think we have experienced it last month in Malaysia, where major cities were inundated with water due to the flash flood and also the heavy rain that was experienced due to shift of weather patterns and also the erratic patterns of monsoon that has caused not only a lot of livelihoods affected, but also has caused human lives to be lost. Yeah, and on top of that, there's also issues related to water pollution, especially people in Selangor. We are in Selangor, and we are notoriously famous and popular for having these unscheduled water cuts due to the irresponsible and indiscriminate dumping of pollution into our water bodies, which a lot of people are still not concerned or still not aware and treating our water bodies as sewers, you know, and this is very, very sad and worrying. So a host of issues, I think, is very rampant, is very clear from the media reports daily in and out. And I think all of us are very aware and should be very concerned about the impact to the environment and the disruption that it's causing. So sustainability or sustainable development needs to be strengthened, needs to be enhanced, and we need to understand that, you know, we all live in a cycle, in a natural ecosystem that functions and that has to remain in balance. Yeah, because whatever we do, there will be an equal and opposite action that will eventually affect us, the Homo sapiens or the human population, and will actually cause major destruction back to us. Yeah? So even if you think that you can get away with polluting the river or discharging your toxic waste so that you can save costs and gain more profit. But at the end of the day, the damage to the environment is very, very destructive, is irreparable, irreversible, and you know that it will actually affect you, because you have to understand that we humans, for the sake of our own survival, we really need to ensure and sustain the resources, because we are very dependent on the earth resources. And you cannot continue to live comfortably if you ruin the resources that's going to help support your own livelihood and also your long-term livelihood. Yeah? So how do we take into account living in harmony with the natural world, protecting it from damage and destruction? Yeah, and every actions that we take, be it through power consumption, through our lifestyle, yeah, through our consumption patterns and production patterns, they all have got an impact, and all of us consumers or citizens of the world could actually contribute and do something to minimize its impact. Yeah, and we have to understand sustainability is not just about environment, it is also about our own survival as the human population, and also our health as a society, because at the end of the day, if you have any intervention or any adverse impact to the environment, a very clear example is the COVID-19 that we're facing now. You see that, you know, it will come back to you and it will actually ruin your life and your future survival because of the irresponsible or irreparable damage that we have caused to the environment. Yeah. So having said that, I think we need to realize and we need to work together in a concerted manner, because we need to actually strive to achieve this sustainable development agenda, not just for our country, but also for the world. And we are very lucky, basically, because we are really guided by the SDG goals, or the 17 UN United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, where it has already set specific goals. There are 17 goals, 169 targets, 230 indicators. So if you want to follow the path of sustainability, you need not reinvent the wheel. You can actually be guided by adopting the SDG goals and focus on what you think is relevant or what is doable and what can be done, and keep on improving over the years, because this is how we try to achieve sustainability. And sustainability, remember, its simple principle or fundamental connotation and interpretation of sustainable development is just understanding, realizing the fact that it is supporting development, but what kind of development? Basically, development that meets the needs of the present, ourselves now, without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Yeah, so this is very important. So understanding this definition of sustainable development will make us realize, will make us ponder, and will make us be committed to ensure that whatever we take or we do now in the name of development and survival, we have to be prudent, we have to be careful, we have to be mindful, so that we do not affect the future generation to meet their own needs, because all of us have got that responsibility. Yeah, and we need to be considerate, because this is where the notion of equity for current generation to future generation, yeah, because all of us have got children, future grandchildren and great grandchildren, which needs and will be dependent on the environmental and the earth resources to actually meet their needs in the future. And if we keep compromising, we keep polluting and destroying the environment now as we are so-called achieving our development goals, there'll be nothing left for them in the future except destruction and calamity. So if there is this ethical realization, yeah, and also the contention of shared responsibility, all of us should actually take note and strive to actually improve our livelihood so that we minimize our impact and ensure that the ecosystem could be handed over to the next generation in a manner that they could actually use it for their own livelihood. Yeah. So there are 17 goals altogether. I think as higher learning institution pun, we are actually now guided by impact ranking that actually looks at SDG goals as a whole. Yeah. And it is actually a great indicator. Not that I'm a fan of university ranking, but like I said, at least it shows us the pathway of how we can actually contribute and support sustainability. Because to some people who are new, you don't know where to begin. Yeah, it might be a bit overwhelming, but believe me, every single action, and if you plan as a whole, strategically as a university, I'm assuring you, you'll get lots and lots of good positive impact and reduction or minimizing impact to the environment, because that's what we want at the end of the day. So the 17 goals covers the 3 tenets of sustainability, which is economic, social and environment. So inshallah you cannot go wrong. So if you want to address especially social aspects of sustainability, no poverty, zero hunger, yeah, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, yeah, and environmental aspects like clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work, this is the economic part, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infra, reduce inequality, social aspect, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institution which deals with governance, yeah, and social in a way. And finally, the partnership for goals, because it is understood that if you do not actually work in tandem in a synergistic manner, you will achieve some goals, but it's not going to be widespread. So partnership for goal is very, very pertinent, and that is why I'm very happy when I have universities or other stakeholders that reach out to us so that we can work together, we can share our experience and our knowledge to make a bigger impact. Because I think this is most pertinent and important for us to strive towards achieving sustainability. So with all the 17 SDG goals, I think, Malaysia, this is just to showcase to you how we have fared as a country. Yeah. And basically, we are not too bad, because we rank in year 2020 as number 60. Of course, we can do better. Out of the 166 countries that report their scorecards, because every year countries have to actually send in their scorecard reports on the 17 SDG goals. So you can actually refer to our Malaysian SDG annual report, yeah, and our average score is about index score is 71%, regional average score is 67%. So all this is explained in the report. And if you look at our dashboard, yeah, of the 17 SDG goals, some we are doing very well actually, like for example SDG 1, yeah, SDG 7, yeah, SDG 11, SDG 4. They're okay in terms of its achievement as a country and our average performance, but there are still a few more that if you look at the scoreboard or dashboard, we can do much better. Like for example, SDG 15, which is life on land. So this is actually to me understandable because there's a lot of issues, yeah, in terms of pollution and so on. that needs to be addressed. SDG 5 in terms of gender equality, SDG 2, zero hunger and so on. So if you look at the national scorecard and dashboard, you would see that these are the areas that we are still needing a lot of improvement. But of course, all other areas should also be continuously improved in terms of its achievement. Yeah, but having said that, the SDG goal is just a guide. Yeah, it is actually to me a guide so that we are still in a common goal, national goal or global goal. But what is important are not just the figures and the rankings, but how it is translated into real actions. Yeah, because if you want to say, you have achieved, for example, zero hunger or no poverty, then it has to be translated into real a scenario on the ground that shows that there's no poor people or really B40 and those who are hungry and having a lot of difficulties in life. So, that's a lot of things that we have to ponder and consider rather than just looking at the figures. So to me, SDG goal is in line with all our principles, even from the Muslim perspective. And believe me, we check with all religions. All religion propagates environmental or conservation, especially from our religious perspective of Islam. Like I said earlier, we have to play our role as the Khalifah or Vicegerent, where Vicegerent or Khalifah or Caliph means one who acts on behalf of the leader or the king. That's a Vicegerent of Allah. Denotes that a human being does not come to this world without purpose. Instead, we have a moral responsibility to safeguard the earth and the environment and should always find the correct way to live life responsibly. So I think once you understand these verses, there's many verses in the Quran, in the Holy Quran. For example, in Surah Al-An'am, verse 165, clearly stated, Allah clearly ordained us human as vicegerents on earth, and He also cautioned us. Allah also cautioned mankind that corruption, destruction will appear, as in Surah Ar-Rum, and has appeared throughout land and sea by the reason of what the hands of people have earned, so that He may let them taste part of the consequences of what they have done, that perhaps they will return to righteousness. So I think this is very, very humbling and a real stark reminder to us, because we know for sure that from our religious perspective, we have a very big role to play. We have a moral responsibility to safeguard the environment, and we should not pollute the environment, because Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has already cautioned us that if we are irresponsible and we are not mindful about our actions, and if we indiscriminately pollute the environment and the earth, we're going to cause our own destruction. Okay, so on top of that, I always put this another dimension which I think is very important. With the 17 SDG goals, there needs to be another SDG, which is not there officially, but I like to put it because this is actually a presentation and an input from Tan Sri Prof. Emeritus Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, who is now the Vice Chancellor or Rector of Universiti Islam Antarabangsa or International University of Malaysia, who actually propagates that we need to have another dimension to the SDG goal, which is the spirituality. Yeah, because at the end of the day, he propagates Sejahtera SDG or spirituality, which is to him should be goal 18, because spirituality is to me another dimension and perspective to be considered within SDGs framework, which would highlight the importance of values, virtues and ethics in order to create a more holistic and deeper understanding of them. So at the end of the day, if you do not actually have that conviction, that spiritual dimension, probably you might not really appreciate the 17 SDG goals wholesomely. So the state of well-being sejahtera to me is to convey a deeper meaning as a way of life based on values and virtues. And that is what we want to see at the end of the day in the translation and in the implementation of our Eco-Campus initiative, yeah, and sustainability initiative. Okay, then coming to the relevance of us in higher institution. So Musim like Universiti Malaya, we have a big role to play. Why? Because higher education to me have got to actually contribute and make significant efforts to address sustainability in campus operation because you know, being the leader or the pivotal of societal setup, we actually have a big role to play, and this can be done through the introduction of our programs, courses, green initiatives, yeah, and also to promote education for sustainable development. I think ESD is a very important cornerstone of sustainability and should be adopted widely by all universities because we are in a best position to actually promote ESD so that we could extend value and impact of our teaching and research to enhance, to ensure that sustainable development is achieved. And we do it through specifically SDG 4, which is quality education. And according to UNESCO, education for sustainable development empowers people to change the way they think and work towards a sustainable future. And it also involves making access to good quality education available at every stage of life. So this is very important, yeah? And we could do it through many ways. Through transforming our learning institution by integrating sustainable development principles in our daily activities. We build capacities, yeah, by being academicians and educators and trainers. We build capacities and we empower our youth, yeah, our students to become the responsible and ethical and capable leaders for the future. Yeah, and we could also translate what we do in campus by working with local communities and offering sustainable solutions. So there's so many that we can do as a university, and how to do it, I think there's no hard and fast rule. Yeah, but what is important, I think, which we are all already doing as a university, is to embed and strengthen and support our students within the sphere of their learning experience in the university to develop the necessary knowledge, skills and mindset to contribute to solving the complex sustainable development challenges in our where we are facing now. So I think this is already embedded in our curriculum. Even our MQA, MQF framework already subscribe to sustainable development as one of the program outcomes. And we need to ensure that we embed and introduce and implement sustainability in all courses. Yeah. And we don't really have much time, with the target of 10 years to the 2030 deadline of achieving the SDGs. The growing understanding of urgency to address not just climate change but all other environmental and sustainability issues. And now adding more challenges to us is actually managing the COVID-19 pandemic and also its fallout. There's going to be a big hurdle, big task ahead for not just us in Malaysia but around the world, because the COVID pandemic has actually opened out a new horizon of catastrophe that will affect us. And it is not going to be the one and only. I mean, over the years and throughout history, we have seen frequencies and recurrence of pandemics, and it is bound to happen with the way we live and with the way we interact with our environment. The indiscriminate way of us treating the ecosystem is bound to actually create more pandemic and problems in the future. So for the universities to actually adopt sustainability, there's many ways of doing it. To me, very importantly, I think USIM and also all the other universities in Malaysia and even in the world have actually working towards the path of sustainability. And I think the first step should be actually understanding and recognizing what you are doing, and because you have to take stock, You have to know where you are. You have to benchmark yourself and do some SWOT analysis. Look at your weaknesses, look at your strengths, your opportunities and your threats. Yeah. And then from then on, you develop and plan synergistically so that you build capacities, you build programs, yeah, you build priorities, yeah, opportunities and fill up the gaps and organize some principles to ensure that you integrate, implement and embed SDGs in your daily activities. And to complete the cycle, you need to monitor, evaluate and communicate. So there has to be strategic planning, because if you are just letting it happen on its own without proper planning and execution, it will not happen and you will not be as successful as you wish it to be. So I believe in whatever you want to do, you have to do it in a systematic and also proper manner. So strategic planning starts with plan, do, check, act of the damming cycle. And if you continuously adhere to those principles of plan, do, check, act, believe me, you will achieve that continual improvement over the years. Yeah, and we will achieve, inshallah, what you aspire to achieve in promoting sustainability, not just for yourself, for your campus, but also to the community and to the country, and globally contributing to the global agenda. So for universities, I think there's so many ways of us contributing to SDGs. Firstly, I mentioned earlier is the ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. It's all embedded. It should be embedded in our curriculum, be it in our training, in our courses, in our co-curriculum, yeah, and talent development and so on. Yeah, and research. Of course, for Universiti Malaya, because we are a research university, we are research intensive. So we strategize to actually include sustainability as part and parcel of our research agenda. Yeah, so we have research clusters that actually looks at different aspects of sustainability. And we also have a dedicated secretariat right under both our Deputy Vice Chancellor Development and also Research and Innovation, and also under the Vice Chancellor himself, that actually coordinates and drives all campus sustainability initiatives. And to spearhead these campus initiatives, our university strategically strategized through the awardment of research grants. And we call our research grants a specific research grant that caters to sustainability initiatives, and we call them Living Lab grant programs. So of course, there's many types of research, and we propagate and we promote all research activities. Yeah, but the Universiti Malaya Living Lab grant is specifically catered to ensure and to propel the sustainability agenda of campus and also its surrounding. And on top of that, through operation and governance. So whatever you do, so it's a synergistic co-relationship, coherence between research and also governance and operation. So our campus, UMSLLS, are supported by our top management, right from our VC, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation, Academic and International, Student Affairs and Development. And we also have strategic collaboration between researchers and the actual operation teams on the ground, because as a research program to be implemented by pure researchers or academicians without the support of the services department or unit of your university, is going to be a futile effort. So you have to make that strategic collaboration and cooperation with, in our case, the Department of Development and Estate Management of Universiti Malaya, and also from our bursar through green procurement initiative. Yeah, so this is why I did mention many times earlier, and also in all my talks, you need to strike that strategic partnership in order for you to successfully implement on a bigger scale. Yeah, of course, you can also then translate whatever you do, the problem solving, the critical thinking, and also the environmental and social and economic improvement by external leadership, yeah? Through working with communities and engaging with the bigger people outside your sphere of your campus. So I'm going to share with you quickly our SLLS or Sustainability and Living Lab Secretariat, and what are the projects that we embark on. So it's a multitude of projects. It's not just one project. It has to be multi-dimension, because remember, SDGs also have got 17 goals, and all sustainability projects must cover the 3 tenets of sustainability, economic and social. And for us, it's very important for the universities and higher education institutions to take note and take importance of sustainability and the greening of campus, because in Malaysia alone, we have 20 public universities, more than almost 500 private university and colleges, more than 30 over polytechnics, and more than 10,000 schools. So imagine, almost 1 or 2 billion of our population comprises of students and also university colleges, not just in school but also in higher learning institution. And all our activities put together actually contributes a big amount of greenhouse gas emissions and pollutions coming from our higher education operations and also teaching and learning entity. Okay, be it through our transportation, our waste generation, our toxic chemicals used in our laboratories, for in our experiments, and so on. Yeah. So all of us put together will definitely play a very important role and has a great impact to the environment. But if all of us take stock of our actions and we try and strive as much as possible to not pollute the environment and minimize our impact, imagine the amount of savings that we could do to the environment and in improving the environmental performance. Yeah? So this is our organization set up. We are just a very small unit, but we have a very big responsibility. We come directly under the purview of our Deputy Vice Chancellor Development and Research, and also the Vice Chancellor. There's only 3 staff. I have 2 full-time officers, research officer, Dr. Azizi and Cik Fazli, and I have a contract research assistant, Miss Irene. And for the university, how we actually propagate our sustainability agenda is through the development and also promotion of our eco-campus blueprint. So we set up and we publish our eco-campus blueprint. I think we are among the first universities to actually come up with our own eco-campus blueprint in 2016, and we focus on 8 areas, 8 operational areas, including transportation, waste, energy, change management, education, green procurement, water, landscape and biodiversity. So like I said, different universities would actually have their own model, but what I'm saying is this model and this focus of 8 trust areas for University Malaya would actually be similar to any organization. And we want to focus on these 8 areas because we think that these 8 areas are the major impacts and the major activities that is happening every day in campus. And if we actually take stock and work towards improving its efficiency, we could actually reduce tremendously our environmental and sustainability performance. And not only that, we also subscribe to ranking of UI Green Metrics. We have been actively participating and assisting the university in development and maintenance of several sustainability initiatives, including UI Green Metrics, World University Ranking for Time Higher Education, Impact Ranking, and also we are the one of 2 universities in Malaysia that has got low carbon city acknowledgement. We have the Diamond Award for low carbon city. So ranking is not the main criteria, but like I say, you want to benchmark. You can benchmark yourself to see how you can improve and where you stand in terms of your initiatives, so that you can improve yourself continuously. So our eCampus blueprint sets on this is an important referral document, which we formulated and which focus on 8 trust areas. I mentioned earlier. So these 8 trust areas covers the important activities that we carry out every day in any institution, not just in but I think in any institution. So the journey of our sustainability pathway has actually been quite successful and has been quite persistent, and we are very committed. Alhamdulillah, I think we have got also very commitment, a lot of commitment and committed management, and also individuals along the way that has actually propagated and helped push the agenda of sustainability. So we have many pathways, and we have many accolades along the way, international and also national awards and recognition. has gotten an international award in the Green Era Award in Berlin in 2050 for Zero Waste campaign. And we are also the one of the 5 national eco-campus recipient for Kelestarian Campus Hijau. We are the only 2 universities, including UTM and UTM, that was awarded the Diamond Award for Low Carbon Initiative. We also won the top prize, Platinum, for KL Mayor Tourism Award, Education, Tourism and Campus Sustainability. And so many others. And we were also appointed as official trainer for KL 2017 SEA Games and ASEAN Para Games Green Volunteers and so on. So there are many more accolades that came along the way, Alhamdulillah. And like I said, the main intention was to be committed and with conviction to ensure that we actually take care of our environment and promote sustainability. And whilst you're doing good to the environment or to the ecosystem, you will get your acknowledgement through all these accolades that you receive. And Alhamdulillah, our latest achievement through the UI Green Matrix have shown proof that our commitment or continuous effort have borne us good results. So last year, we climbed another 2 ladder to number 32 in the world most sustainable university or UI Green Matrix ranking. And our achievement include 100% score for water management, 95% for education and research. We got almost 90% for waste management, 81% for transportation, 73% setting, and almost 60% for energy and climate change. So if you want to benchmark yourself and you want to see how you fare in terms of your initiative towards sustainability in campus, you can actually join the UI Green Matrix just to benchmark yourself and to ensure that you continually improve for the benefit of your campus and for the environment. So we are also top 5 university most sustainable campus in Asia. Universiti Malaya made it to the top 5. Alhamdulillah, it's a big achievement. And if you look at our score, we are almost similar to the top 5. And this actually will stimulate us to actually do better and look at opportunities for improvement. Because, like I said, we need to continuously look for opportunities for improvement. And these are our opportunities of improvement that we are really exploring. But of course, it needs funding, it needs coordination, and it needs support from the management, which we are trying our level best to improve in terms of renewable energy, smart building, green building, and sustainable campus mobility. So there are many ways of how you want to do it, but this is how we did it in So our Living Lab project has been very successful. Like I said, you need to develop and you need to mold something very specific so that you push the agenda of sustainability. Because if you expect it to happen accidentally or coincidentally, it will not happen. So you need to plan synergistically and work hard to ensure that you relate and translate whatever that you want to do into real action plan. So the Living Lab is an action-oriented and translational research. So your university has to be committed in the sense that you need to push this agenda through some incentive. And the incentive in is coming up with the Living Lab grant, which actually becomes a carrot for researchers or the academics to actually join and work together to solve problem. And because as a living lab, it is action oriented, it is problem solving, and it is translating your laboratory research to real life solutions, yeah, to improve your sustainability performance. And along the way, you not only improve your environmental impact, you also provide academics the platform for them to use it as a teaching and learning initiative. Students get to experience experiential learning with the involvement with the Living Lab project. You also try to develop and mold paradigm shift and culture change, and overall improve the university's operations. So just to share with you quickly, these are the 8 trust areas, and these are all the projects that has been conducted, yeah, to support that 8 trust areas. Because when you develop your agenda or your pathway, you need to have programs to support them. So in our landscape and biodiversity, we have all these programs that has been conducted. Some are still ongoing. Yeah, I'm not going to go through because it's going to take up a lot of time, but just suffice to show you that there are many projects that supports Agenda 1, Agenda 2 or Trust Area 2 on waste management. And of course, for waste management, the Zero Waste campaign has been one of the pioneer, which was led by myself, and it's still ongoing and getting stronger every year through inclusion of new projects. So these are among the projects that we do and we implement to support waste management strategy or sustainable waste management strategy. And just to highlight one of the Living Lab projects, one of the pioneer, which is my project, the Zero Waste campaign. Since its inception in year 2009, you could see, because we track. So remember, I told you one of the successful way of ensuring that your project is sustainable, you need to do your monitoring and tracking. So over the years, we track our environmental performance, our economic performance, and our social performance. So from this project alone, we have actually diverted more than 1 million kilogram or 1,000 tons of waste from a landfill site. We have reduced more than 5 million kilograms CO2 of carbon dioxide. We have actually cut costs and reduced operation costs to the university almost 400,000. And we also generate income from selling of our compost from the transforming of our food waste, more than almost 50,000 now. Yeah, and on top of that, we also contribute in terms of revenue and charity from this project, almost 40,000 ringgit. And we have trained and we have created awareness to our visitors to our UMZWC or Zero Waste Campaign facility and training center, more than almost 15,000 participants. Yeah. Then we also have the water management. One of our pioneer project is the Water Warriors project. It's very successful, and there are many water initiatives, water saving initiatives, and we have gotten over the years 100% scores for sustainable water initiatives for the UI Green Matrix. Yeah. And energy management, these are some of the projects that we do in terms of energy management, looking at hybrid solar system, optimizing energy costs, conservation cultures. We have smart carbon abatement modules, IoT-based solar power. So these are amongst the different projects that we have. We also have on transportation management, yeah, various projects that looks at IoT monitoring, promoting walking, smart vehicle management, and so forth. Yeah. And green procurement. For us, green procurement is an important facet or aspect that we want to dwell on, because I believe that whatever you bring in or you procure will actually make an impact to your campus and also the facility outside. So green procurement is one of our main thrusts, and we work very closely with our bursar to ensure we incorporate green procurement and also green facilities and green things coming into UM. And then we have education management. We have our notable Eco Surau, where we have our surau in Akademi Pengajian Islam, APIUM, that has been transformed to become an Eco Surau. And with this Eco Surau principles, we are now working with Jawi, and so on, to transform mosque and surau in Kuala Lumpur, Wilayah Persekutuan in Selangor, to also make our mosque and our religious institution green. So this is a clear example of how your work in campus can actually transform into helping the community. Yeah, and of course we also have change management, because change management is very important. It is about governance. Yeah, without commitment and governance support, it's not going to be easy for you to achieve what you aspire to achieve. Okay, so we track our environmental performance. So here you can see all the amount of savings, right, from water, energy, yeah, recyclables, and also upkeep of our lakes. We also have our urban farm, stream restoration, tree upkeep, and so on. So time is actually running out, so I have to be a bit fast. So we also have our social performance, where we work with communities, transforming and translating our work in campus and extending it to the community outside. So if you look at the first picture, this is we working very closely with our MP or Member of Parliament, YB Fahmi, and working with Jakim, Jawi, Ikim, yeah, with our Imara Eco Surau project. Our water warriors always have got programs with stakeholders, yeah, like Selangor, SPAN, and so on. Yeah. So there's so many examples. Of course, I think economic perspective is very important, because at the end of the day, whatever good that you do must be translated into economic performance. You have to strive to achieve all the three tenets, and this is clear evidence. Whatever initiative, sustainability initiative that we do are all translated into dollars and cents. Yeah? We have collected, like for example, our UMZWC. We sell our own compost from converting of our food waste and green waste, and we have actually collected more than almost 50,000. Yeah, and we also sell our organic vegetable, where we have our organic farm using our organic compost, and so on. So the water warriors have done a wonderful job of collecting plastics, yeah, that is that can actually be a big major problem, and have actually made them into precious plastic project and sold as souvenirs, yeah, and many more, through the Rimba project, and so on. So this is the savings part and the economic part of our projects, of our Living Lab projects. So I'm just again showing you our zero waste campaign, project close to my heart, because I've been doing it for the last 10 years. Otherwise, all this food waste, which is a big problem in Malaysia, as you know, will go to our landfill site and becomes a big environmental problem. But because of our intervention from our Living Lab project, we convert it into compost and we sell it. And now we are promoting circular economy. The main organic compost is used in our organic farm and is sold and generating income. Okay. So these are among some of the projects that the Zero Waste Campaign is doing. And I'm just showing you this example of scenario analysis. If all universities, yeah, including USIM, were to conduct a Living Lab project as what we do, now this is just a postulation and a scenario analysis with the calculation of the 20 universities that we have in Malaysia. If we were to actually carry out Living Lab projects, we would actually save the environment more than 4,500 tons of CO2 per year can be reduced, yeah, and more than 5.4 million per year gain. So look at the amount of savings and also impact to the environment that we could achieve if all of us universities take stock, take leadership, and ensure that we carry out sustainability projects, so that we can actually contribute not just to improve the environment, but also to making sure that sustainability agenda is spearheaded. Yeah. So there's many media reports over the years for our projects, which shows the recognition of what we do. Yeah. Not just locally, but also internationally. Yeah, we were highlighted in one of Thailand's program on sustainability. Yeah, besides of course our own media, local media. And at the end of the day, as a university, I think this is very important for us to track our achievement, because as an academician, we need to ensure that these are all developed, fulfilled, be it human capital, workshop, awards, networkings, and most importantly, our KPI publications. We also publish in journals, in books, and also hundreds of media appearances, which actually translate into dollars and cents. And if you look at the savings from our Living Lab projects, we have actually secured direct income of almost 143,000, indirect savings to the university of more than 1 million, and we have reduced more than 17 million kilogram of CO2 equivalent for the university. So whatever you do, believe me, will translate into real sustainability goals. So we also track all our SDG performance from university's perspective, because whatever you do, you need to monitor and you need to track. And the amount of CO2 that we have diverted from our Living Lab projects is equivalent to almost 300,000 trees. If we had not done our Living Lab projects, we need to plant 300,000 trees to sequester the amount of CO2 that we have successfully done through our Living Lab project. So this makes a real impact in understanding the importance and the relevance of campus greening initiative. So of course, we don't have enough land to plant 300,000 or enough effort, but by doing the Living Lab projects and greening of campus, we could actually translate that into almost 300,000 trees that has sequestered the CO2 that we have diverted from the environment. So we also have many publications. We regularly publish our e-newsletter, and we also have our annual reports, to showcase, and we also promote webinars. Even in last year during COVID lockdown, we had 6 webinars and almost 1,000 over audiences, and we have a continual series of this engagement to disseminate environmental and sustainability consciousness. So this is just to showcase the widespread webinar series attention with the external community. So very important. I've shown you example how we can do it. As a university, it's a shared responsibility. You need to have the participatory approach and good governance and monitor your project. Measure your performance. And at the end of the day, you know very well that it is a shared responsibility. You have to actually promote this very significantly to your students, to your community, because you need to empower them to actually together partner to ensure the SDG agenda is achieved. Because together we make more impact, greater sustainability, and increased values. Okay, and of course you will have all your impacts that will actually be derived through your initiatives. And at individual level also, you need to promote how every individual can reduce their waste consumption or waste generation, how they should reduce their greenhouse gas emission, and do recycling, how to conserve water wastage, how to reduce consumption of water. So many ways, even from evolution, you could actually reduce so much in terms of your environmental impact. And this is just to showcase to you, like I said, everything we monitor, we calculate, and we can show from our just simple act of one Living Lab through the Imara Green Eco Campus Eco project, how much we can actually save in terms of not just monetary conversion, but also CO2 saving. So this is just to showcase to you the impact that can happen if we actually carry out simple projects that is translated into real action and replicated to other communities outside the campus. Okay, So I think I'm running out of time. These are just simple tips of how you should reduce your energy consumption, sustainability practices through mobility, ensuring green procurement is happening in your campus, how to actually do simple steps for green office. This is something very easy that you can actually do to officers in the whole campus. So most importantly, we have to realize that universities have a critical role in contributing to not just achieving sustainability campus, but also to promoting sustainable development as a whole for the country, for the nation. So take home messages. Firstly, I think very importantly, I would like to highlight, and I hope everyone has come to the understanding that sustainability is everyone's responsibility. Every single one of us is a leader. And we could actually start it with campus sustainability, and it should not be an option. It should not be a business as usual, but we should make improvement, and our activities should be translatable, should be impactful, and it has to be a shared responsibilities at the higher education level, and we have to have strategic partnership and reflection by all members. We must synergize our effort, and hopefully we have achieved and hope to achieve the holistic and integrated paradigm shift, so that operations in higher education institutions become sustainable, and intrinsically all the higher education institutions will achieve the 17 SDG goals as we aspire. So in my last reminder, I always like to say that the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So we have to do away with this notion, because believe me, every one of us have got a role to play. So be different, be the change. Even though small changes, it matters, and collectively we make a big impact, inshallah. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry if I take a little bit of the time extra that has been allocated to me. Like I said, if I talk about sustainability, I can go on and on. But because of the time limitation, I hope I've given you some insights of how UM's journey towards campus sustainability, and hope it can be of use to you all in your pathway or in your journey towards USIM campus sustainability. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Subhanallah, 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 masya-Allah. Tabarakallah, Prof. So actually we are so thrilled and we are so overwhelmed with all this, right? As you put Robert Swan's quotes there. So it's not like it's fardu kifayah for us. It's like almost fardu ain for us to be doing this. Sustainability is our responsibility, is not an option, right, Prof? Betul, Prof? Prof dengar saya? Okay, terima kasih Prof atas perkongsian yang diberikan, perkongsian yang mantap supaya kita dapat menjadikannya sebagai penggerak untuk menjadikan USIM sebagai kampus lestari. Okay, banyak points which Prof has put up. I've noted a lot there. Okay, synergizing things, especially for SDG 17 partnership for the goals. So this is what Prof has done her amanah, so called. Okay, as now I think Prof is already our malim sustainability, and she has did her amanah as Allah has given to her on this. Okay, alhamdulillah, terima kasih Prof, terima kasih for the sharing. SIC, right? SIC, sharing is caring, right? And we are the contributors of all this, right? And we are to correct it as we've put the verse surah Ar-Rum ayat 41 tu kan. So we are the one who pollute it, so we have to correct it. Alright, jadi saya buka kepada peserta webinar pada hari ini untuk mengajukan soalan. Okay, boleh Prof Norita bantu saya jika ada soalan di ruang chat juga. Okay, dipersilakan peserta yang ingin bertanyakan soalan kepada Profesor untuk unmute mikrofon dan terus bertanyakan soalan, mengajukan soalan. Jadi persilakan. Okey, ada peserta yang sedang mendengar dapat mengajukan soalan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okey, saya Musa daripada FST USIM. Pertama tahniah Prof, actually inisiatif yang banyak sangat lagi daripada UM. I'm sure USIM banyak boleh learn daripada UM. Dan in fact kalau masuk kampus UM pun saya pernah masuk banyak kali juga. And you can feel the difference, okay? Daripada area KLG masuk ke UM tu, you boleh rasa lah, okay? Maknanya totally different environment. Saya cuma nak tanya lah, okay, because you have so many initiative. Jadi saya nak tanya, adakah inisiatif itu dibuka secara open, mana anybody, if you the student atau mungkin pekerja ataupun mungkin faculty, untuk for them to come up with suggestion for any initiative. Itu satu. Second, nak tanya dari segi financial. Adakah maknanya universiti ada proper allocation, mungkin yang banyak because nampak macam banyak projek tu, ataupun maknanya proposal tu dia kena come up dengan dia punya own mungkin financial plan, dan akhirnya mungkin dia kena sustain macam sebab ada macam tadi macam Kampus tadi juga menghasilkan some income juga. Sebab saya nampak inisiatif tu terlalu banyak, okay, dan semuanya nampaknya workable and very successful. Wallahualam. Terima kasih.
Ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum Cik Musa. Terima kasih banyak di atas soalan yang diberikan. Yes, Alhamdulillah betul. Soalan-soalan yang Cik Musa ataupun Dr. Musa tak pasti.
Prof Datuk Musa, Prof Suripniani.
Prof
Datuk Musa mantan MC kita.
I see. Okay. Minta maaf saya tak kenal Datuk.
Tawaduk.
Ya. Terima kasih di atas soalan yang diberikan. Memang tak dapat dinafikan macam saya sebutkan di awal tadi, bila kita hendak merancang untuk melaksanakan program-program greening of campus ni, you have to strategize. Kita perlu perancangan yang teliti dan strategik untuk memastikan bagaimana kita dapat first to start the program. So to start a program, dengan kata lain, kita perlu ada impetus ataupun lonjakan bagaimana untuk attract people to come on board, to work together. And because initially, seperti yang saya tunjuk dalam slide saya, kita ada 3 UM. We are very lucky lah in the sense we have people who are actually very convicted and very committed towards sustainability. Kita memang ada 3 pioneer project Living Lab, which is salah satunya diterajui oleh saya lah, ya, UM Zero Waste Campaign. Memang saya dah buat 10 tahun yang lepas sebelum ada Living Lab dan sebelum Campus Sustainability was the norm at that time. I mean, everybody was just doing bits and pieces. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are actually also doing. Tapi when you are doing bits and pieces on your own, you cannot go that far. So when I started I just give my example of my project. Like when I started my project in 2010, it was just a class project. At that time, because my background is civil and environmental engineering, I was very concerned about the waste issues. Yeah? I've always been concerned about waste issues, and I've been teaching and being a lecturer for so many years, teaching all sorts of subjects, including solid waste management. And I felt that I wanted to do something for the campus. I want to walk my talk, rather than just as a lecturer bagi syarahan. I started the project small as a class project. Then when it was successful, we extended to the department, and then to the faculty. I was very lucky. I talked to my dean, and my dean supported with a little bit of seed money. We started our Zero Waste Campaign project by improvising our recycling bins. We started with just recycling bins. And then we wanted to go big at the university scale, university level. It was very difficult. I had to present my project and my ideas many times to the management, and because there was financial implications, and because people are still not very familiar about the concept of integrated waste management and all that, I didn't get support. So what we did was we actually wrote and asked for a grant, a CSR grant from an outside entity which was at that time ZIMB Foundation, and we got 100,000. That was the impetus that helped spearhead the project at university level. And we incorporated with that grant, 100,000 that we got, to actually also include food waste conversion or food waste treatment using Takakura composting. And with the success of our, of course, with the intensified recycling program in campus, with the success of our Takakura composting and promoting of food waste diversion, and also promoting organic compost development and creation from food waste, we got partnership and we got contribution from outside stakeholders, and we add on anaerobic digester. So we produce biogas, and from then we keep on expanding the project. So it started as individual projects. So that's why I said, when you look at my slide and my guide, how you want to start in your campus, you need to take stock. So you need to actually do some inventorizing of what are the projects that are already existing dekat USIM. Because I know USIM pun has been doing a lot of sustainability projects. So you have to gather these people together to work synergistically, coherently, so that it makes a bigger impact. Because if I were to remain on my own at my faculty, I would not have actually achieved that much. But because I was lucky, alhamdulillah, over the years, I was appointed as Dean of Sustainability Research at that time. And because of the success of my zero waste campaign, my TNC at that time pushed me to actually start Living Lab grant. And we synergized and we plan how to actually push further the agenda of sustainability in campus. The only way to do it is to get more people to come on board. So memang we have a dedicated fund from our RU grant, not much, just a small portion, and we call it the Living Lab grant. So the Living Lab grant, initially when we had more money Datuk, RU money, but because of the constraints sekarang ni, we are we are only giving very minimal. But because we already started the work, so it's just a continuity, and we are also supposed to be self-supporting. Like for example, my zero waste project, now I can actually generate income, not just to the university, but I generate income to pay and to continue my project. So actually the stages of a Living Lab or your green initiative should start off as, like I said, existing projects. I mean, you can start a new project, but if you want to start a new, it's going to take a longer time. So you have to take stock, and you have to look at what are the already existing projects, your strength. For example, look at your strength, who are already doing what projects, but you need to give that small incentive, meaning to say there must be some grant, some assistance. So in our case, we were lucky because we are RU, and of course alhamdulillah, we are always top in RU. So we got RU funding. So a small portion of the RU funding was allocated to be called Living Lab project. Initially, we didn't really get much response, but over the years, people see the benefit, and people could actually, a lot of people are actually keen. They don't know where to start. So the Living Lab project became a good platform for like-minded people. Even not like-minded people, but eventually they came in and joined the bandwagon, because they know that they can get some grant, some seed money to start their project. So most of the projects that you see that I've shown in the slides are not really new projects. Those are projects yang memang researchers and academicians dah memang buat, mungkin at a smaller scale, then they upscale it a little bit. And Living Lab project punya principle is mesti kena translate into real problem solving at campus level. Sebab the KPI of Living Lab, dia tak tekankan sangat publication macam the other grants of our punya grants, mesti ada, it's a compulsory to ada publication. Ours is, it's not compulsory publication ISI lah, of course, but of course most of us do publish because it's already a culture. But the KPI of Living Lab is mesti environmental ataupun sustainability performance. So you kena at the end of the project report how much savings you have done to in terms of, if you are supporting like myself, the zero waste, the waste punya sphere or trust area, how much waste have you diverted from landfill? And from that amount of volume or weight or mass of waste that you have diverted, that can be translated into how much CO2, because we do our carbon footprint calculation. How much carbon footprint have you diverted from your initiative? Or if you are water warriors, how much water have you saved? And then that also is translated into economics. So how much saving in terms of dollars and cents. Jadi KPI LL is very clear. Dia mesti KPI on performance of the sustainability indicators. But of course, the rest are also encouraged and it's a plus point. And if you show progress in your year one, we have a panel that assess every year, in fact every 3 months we assess, because it's a 1-year project. They're very intensive. Maksudnya if you go for the Living Lab punya project, you memang kena existingly dah buat something. Kalau tidak pun nak start, you kena start very fast. You have to actually work fast because every year your performance is tracked. In fact, we do every 3 months. We do site monitoring. I mean, I do with my panel, site monitoring. And then we have presentation 6 months, 9 months. And at 12 months, they must show that they have fulfilled and achieved their KPI in terms of the setting of the reduction of campus punya sustainability indicators. With your performance, then second year you will be recommended to be continued. So like my program dah almost 5-6 years being continued, but of course it is very much dependent on the RU grant lah, like I said, because the Living Lab grant is coming from the RU grant. But otherwise, if probably USIM don't have RU grants, you could actually, if the management, so I say governance is very important lah, because without top management punya support, Dato', it's not going to be easy. If you really want to spearhead and you want to entice your academicians to go into this, you must make it and plan in such a way to make it attractive to them, because as academicians, you know that at the end of the day, academicians wants their KPI fulfilled. So meaning to say there's some money or grant awarded, you can actually achieve, you can secure your postgraduate student from that grant, or you can pay for your GRA, and then you can also publish. And we also not just encourage publication in ISI, but we publish all our Living Lab books, so you can have your book chapters every year. So that adds on to the KPI. Besides, of course, you are acknowledged through the results of the ranking that is contributing from all the initiative, from all the Living Lab projects. So that's how we try to sustain lah, Dato'. So memang there will be a challenge now, especially now, because you know RU money is not really forthcoming as yet. But what we want to do and how we train our Living Lab project is that once they are stable and they have successfully conducted their projects through the years, they should actually be self-sufficient. So all our pioneer Living Lab projects now generate income. So this is how you develop the momentum, not just in terms of capacity, but also in terms of their capacity to first start off as a project of greening of campus, then working with community, then generating income either through products or through capacity building. And Alhamdulillah, inshallah, even if we don't have RU grants, we could actually sustain ourselves through the income generation of our training, through our compost sale, through our, not much, but at least our organic farming products and so on. And you have to venture out also partnership with other stakeholders, especially the industries. Like for example, my zero waste project, now we are in the midst of discussion to actually collaborate with another industry that's coming in to actually provide us a feature of waste management treatment that costs almost 1 million. You know, so as you improve along the way, inshallah, you will actually also be able to convince other stakeholders from the industries and so on to join venture with you to build up and further improve your capacity. Okay, Dato', I hope that answer your question. So if you don't have RU money, probably you could allocate some small seed funding through your probably development funds ke, or if you can get CSR money ke, ataupun you can have a endowment that you can allocate and dedicate to maybe pushing the agenda towards sustainability, because sustainability now is not just for campus, it is actually a global agenda. And it's not, you cannot business as usual anymore. It has to be part and parcel of a campus punya agenda and also goal.
Okay.
Okay, Dato', thank you for your question. I hope that answer your question. But I'm happy to, like I said, to me partnership is very important, and I'm ever willing. In UM we are ever willing to actually guide and work with other universities. Of course, we are not the best, but at least we have started, and our journey could actually be replicated and could actually be adopted by other universities, which I know are already doing. Yeah. InsyaAllah.
Okay, terima kasih banyak bro. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, terima kasih Dato' for the question and also for attending. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Pengusi ada masa lagi?
InsyaAllah boleh, insyaAllah.
I have no problem.
Okey, Prof. Terima kasih, Prof. Prof Dr. Sumani. Alhamdulillah. Saya Muhammad Zain daripada C4SS. Nak tanya sedikit saja. Saya rasa faktor yang penting kejayaan yang nampak alhamdulillah begitu banyak dicapai oleh UM ialah kerjasama daripada PTJ iaitu pusat-pusat tanggungjawab seperti di fakulti. Betul. Termasuklah pensyarah-pensyarah, penyelidik-penyelidik. Bagaimana agaknya UM berjaya untuk menggerakkan kepakaran-kepakaran yang ada dan menjurus kepada boleh dikatakan menjurus kepada SDG juga kan? Kebanyakan tu related to SDG kan?
Yes, of
so
course.
Mungkin Prof boleh share sikit lagi secara ringkas. Wallahualam. Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih Prof.
Okey, alhamdulillah macam saya sebutkan tadi, sebenarnya kita di universiti seperti juga di USIM lah, you have many expert actually. I'm sure there are many experts among your academicians who are actually very capable and would have the capacity to actually run sustainability projects or greening of campus projects. So like I said, permulaannya untuk, I have that checklist tadi dalam slide saya tu, kalau nak refer nanti. First, you kena take stock of who's doing what. If they are already existing people doing, I'm sure they are. Because if you look through your USIM experts or areas of expertise, there'll be people doing on, like for example, macam UM, even our Academy Pengajian Islam, when they started the project, they wanted to join, they weren't sure how to contribute. But I said everyone can contribute, everyone can play a role in pushing this sustainability agenda, and that's how we developed the Eco Surau. And the Eco Surau, even though the API Ustaz and Ustazah are not trained in the water treatment, water conservation or waste, we work synergistically. So we transform the Eco Surau by making it water efficient, energy efficient, waste recycling, waste conversion, and they also have organic farming. So we work synergistically, and we ensure that you have a common goal, a common agenda, and get people to collaborate and work together to make a bigger impact. Because if I were to leave them on their own, they would not be able to actually successfully do it as how it is done by us working together. And more importantly is, of course, you have to have here could be your for you all is your C4SS lah. Alhamdulillah, you all are very lucky. You have already got a ready entity. I think you all are actually assigned and already given the responsibility. So meaning to say you all are the leaders of USIM campus who could actually spearhead, coordinate. You need to plan, coordinate and implement. So if you can't get that, like I said, the grant would be very helpful lah. Memanglah as academician, kita tak boleh lari daripada kalau nak dapat grant, memang semua orang akan datang kan. Tapi kalau tidak pun, I'm sure the university's management could actually allocate some program or some initiative even if it's not monetary pun, you can actually spearhead and coordinate. For example, working with other stakeholders, like for example, get ministry support ataupun macam for example when we went for the low carbon, masa tu dengan kereta masa tu kereta ada, tapi sekarang dah ministry lain lah but they have allocation sebenarnya for capacity building, so you can use that money to actually start off something. Because in order for you to start your program, satu, like I said, if you want to attract the academicians, those that are already doing dan memang interested, you can actually mold them into contributing their research that they have been doing into real action plans and action program that can help USIM campus. Nombor dua, kalau tidak ada grant, then your role dekat C4SS will be the coordinator and the leader to plan ahead how to synergize your existing resources. So what you can do is actually get hold of your services unit, macam kita ada Jabatan Pengurusan Harta Benda di Universiti Malaya, USIM pun pasti ada unit tu. You must work with them because they come under Deputy Vice Chancellor Development. Our research grant comes under Deputy Vice Chancellor Research. But you must make them understand and see the synergy, because by implementing our living lab program and greening of campus, actually both entities gain a lot. So development punya entity pun, they supported us. Of course, to get the support, you must show that it's a win-win situation. Itu biasalah sebab you have to do that coordinating and extra work to convince people to work together with you. They must see the benefit. Of course, they can actually dia boleh diarahkan aja, tetapi kalau dia ada that pemahaman and the buy-in, you'll get better support from them. So the JPPHB people and staff and the pengarau JPPHB knows that by supporting and working with us, they are also fulfilling their KPI because operation comes under them. So kalau kita reduce waste, reduce energy, reduce water, it's actually KPI of the Jabatan Pengurusan Harta Benda of the university. So you make them understand that by supporting us, you will also achieve your KPI and the university will also prosper. And the academics will also benefit because academics, they need to also fulfill their KPI. And as the coordinating body, C4SS, you must make sure you fulfill the requirement of all these stakeholders. So the pengarau or the pengerusi of C4SS, then the committee must sit together and like I said just now, plan, coordinate and synergistically get people across the board to support each other if you do not have the grant yet. But otherwise, university memang ada allocation. So you can actually park a little bit of your development fund or you work with government entities or industries that's willing to give endowment money ke macam we all, when I start, I got CIMB Foundation punya CSR money. That was the impetus of how I started and propel my project. And once you're successful, orang tengok, orang lain pun nak support. Dan I don't have to go out to ask for support. Orang daripada luar datang, offer untuk nak work with us and with my project because they see the success of the project. So it's a win-win-win-win situation all around, insyaAllah. Whilst our main agenda is to save the environment. Because bayangkan, from a small project of a small class project, I have diverted more than 5 million kilogram of waste from going to landfill site. So just look at the impact. So don't, jangan kita semua fikir yang kita buat ni tak, sebenarnya impact dia sangat kecil dan tidak ada contribution. Believe me, every one of us can make a difference. And if we plan and strategize more synergistically, more systematically, the impact will be much bigger, insyaAllah.
Terima kasih Prof. Alhamdulillah. Sangat konstruktif.
InsyaAllah. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan dan in future, no problem, boleh je hubungi kami.
Mungkin kami perlu melawat ke UM pula.
InsyaAllah, lepas lockdown ni memang banyak sangat program sebenarnya tergantung sekarang ni. Nanti kita buat online je lah dulu. Kita doa lah bersama-sama, minta insyaAllah pandemik ni segera berakhir. Dan walau bagaimanapun, I think we shouldn't hinder our effort lah. because things can still go on online secara maya, but what it needs is very importantly, Tuan, is actually the coordination and the leadership. And for it to happen, you must get the right people, because I believe that if you put in orang yang betul-betul minat dan betul-betul dalam bidang ni, dia memang
passionate about it.
Yes, so
passionate about
very
it.
important, kena ada orang yang ada passion lah. I have to put it like that lah, because walaupun it's everybody responsibility, tetapi some people are more passionate about this sustainability agenda, and I think in USIM we have many people that are very committed and passionate, because to me as a Muslim, I take it as my personal conviction as a khalifah, as a vicegerent. Allah dah lantik kita sebagai khalifah di muka bumi. Apa saja yang kita boleh buat untuk bantu memurnikan dan memelihara alam sekitar, bagi saya ibadah.
Yes.
InsyaAllah.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sebenarnya ada 3 soalan lagi dalam chat tu. I don't think there's much time left, but I think you have covered somehow.
Yeah, okay.
Cuma
you can always contact me.
Yeah.
Kalau ada some of them I kenal, for how do you motivate non-academic. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, memang like I said lah, it's a continual improvement progress, because it's not easy to motivate. Tapi like I said, if you believe in the cause, kalau kita buat ikhlas, dan kita sendiri tonjolkan kita punya komitmen tu, insyaAllah at the end of the day, kita kena istiqamah lah dalam kita hendak menyampaikan kita punya bagi saya ni dakwah juga, because bila kita menyampaikan kebaikan, saya dah selalu kaitkan dengan surah Wal-Asr, berpesan-pesan, kita kena sentiasa berpesan-pesan dengan kebaikan dan
kesabaran,
Jadi kita kena pandai sebagai leaders, sebagai motivasi dan amanah untuk lead program ni, kita kena pandai motivate orang, dan kita kena pandai ajak orang untuk mereka melihat akan kebenaran, dan also input yang apa yang mereka boleh support tu sebenarnya mempunyai impact yang sangat besar, di samping kita menjalankan tanggungjawab kita sebagai satu badan bagi saya.
Betul.
Ya.
Terima kasih, Prof. Crisp and clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, saya kira sudah jam 12 sekarang ni. Jadi terima kasih Prof atas perkongsian yang diberikan. Memang sangat mantap dan sangat menusuk kalbu #deep. Sudah hadirin hadirat yang dihormati. Okey, selesai sudah webinar Kelestarian Kampus C4SS buat junung kalinya. Ucapan terima kasih sekali kepada yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Sumaini binti Yusof kerana sudi berkongsi pengalaman Universiti nombor 1 Malaysia, Universiti Malaya sebagai sebuah kampus lestari. Okey, tanya juga buat semua peserta yang memberi kerjasama, menunggu setia kerana ilmu sehingga selesai acara. Okey, semoga semua peserta dapat memanfaatkan ilmu yang barakah ni, okey, daripada seminar ni, dan berkongsi dengan rakan-rakan di pusat tanggungjawab masing-masing yang terdapat turut serta dalam program ni bagi mengalirkan ilman nafi'an. Okey. Global, lestari dan sejahtera kita. Okey, Allah berfirman Allah SWT berfirman dalam surah Ar-Rum, tadi surah Ar-Rum ayat 41, tapi awalnya dalam surah Ar-Rum ayat 9, saya bacakan maksud dia sebab kalau baca ayat dia panjang je. Maksudnya, tidakkah mereka telah berjalan dan mengembara di muka bumi serta memperhatikan bagaimana kesudahan orang-orang yang terdahulu dari mereka, orang-orang itu lebih kuat daripada mereka sendiri dan orang-orang itu telah meneroka bumi serta memakmurkannya lebih daripada kemakmuran yang dilakukan oleh mereka. Dan orang-orang itu telah didatangi oleh rasul-rasulnya dengan membawa keterangan-keterangan yang jelas nyata, lalu mereka mendustakannya dan kesudahannya mereka dibinasakan. Dengan yang demikian, maka Allah tidak sekali-kali menganiaya mereka, tetapi merekalah yang menganiai diri sendiri. Okey, saya akhiri.
Dr. Fazli, photo session jangan lupa.
Okey, nanti. Okey, saya mungkin kita photo session dulu. Minta semua peserta untuk membuka kamera masing-masing, video masing-masing. Okey, dan Prof Noita akan snap. So kita ada di talian 43 peserta partisipan. Okay, Punita boleh
masih ada yang tak buka dulu.
Dengan yang terlibat untuk kita berhalusi. So yang pernah
Okey, boleh buka video sekejap aje.
video sekejap untuk ni sesi foto. Okey, Prof.
Satu lagi.
boleh saya dah baru check ni dengan apa boleh tarik data daripada
Okey.
Okey, Prof.
Ya.
so boleh pass
Sudah?
lah benda
Alright.
tu ke BPI.
Okey, pantun saya tadi belah berangan sumbawa bertamu nan indah rasa Nusa Tenggara. Baiklah tuan bawa berilmu, binalah bangsa bangunkan negara. Okey, sekian saja untuk kali ini. Mohon maaf daripada saya sekiranya ada terlanjur berbicara. Sebagai mengendalikan majlis ni, sungguhnya yang terbaik itu datangnya dari Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Yang kurang itu dari kelemahan saya sendiri. Sulam dahanan burung tempua, mengingin rasa bertamu pagi. Salam perpisahan buat semua, di lain masa bertemu lagi. Moga kita berjumpa lagi di webinar yang seterusnya. Salam lestari dan sejahtera daripada kami. Kita tangguhkan webinar ini pada pagi ini dengan tasbih kafarah dan surah Tu'as. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilaih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladziina aamanu wa 'amilus shalihat wa tawashaw bil haqq wa tawashaw bis sabr. Sekian wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Barakallahu fiikum. Stay safe, stay home. Kita jaga kita hidup lestari dan sejahtera. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Prof.
All the best.
Ya, Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih. Thanks so much.
Most welcome. Alhamdulillah.